Hello and happy holidays. I'm here today with a special Christmas edition to talk about the top 10 gift ideas of what to get your favorite Pregger for Christmas. So I'm going to try to cover all price ranges from super cheap to a lot more expensive and everything in between. Most of these have categories, so there will be a few things underneath, the main category, so there are actually more than 10 ideas per se. You can also combine several of these to gift sort of like a Pregger Christmas package. So these are my top 10 gift ideas. So number one, a dry brush. A dry brush is really great for getting the lymphatic system going. It improves circulation. It has a lot of great benefits. It's part of a great self-care routine, and all of these things are awesome to help, improve during pregnancy. And the next day or so, I'm going to record another bonus video about specifically how to use a dry brush and all of its benefits. So look out for that. But dry brush is pretty cheap. You can get one from $2 to $10. I think I got this one at CVS for $10, and I actually wanted to get something cheaper, but it was between, this nicer looking one for $10 and a cheap plastic $2 one. I've seen wooden ones for $2 too. It really just depends on where to go. So that's number one. Number two, a birth ball. Birth balls are amazing for honestly all stages of pregnancy, birth, after birth. When you're pregnant, it's really great to use as a chair. So that's personally what I use in my office. It allows you to sit and keep your pelvis and your back balanced and keep you in a much better posture. It doesn't really allow you to slouch. So it's actually putting you in a better posture and preparing you for a much easier and better birth. It's much easier for the baby to move down the birth canal if everything is aligned. It doesn't really allow you to sort of put your body out of alignment. So this is all kind of prepping your body and your muscles prior to birth. Now, during birth, it's also actually pretty amazing. If you don't have access to a pool or a bath, one of the great things about the birth ball is that you're able to almost spiral your hips, which is something that is really good for getting the baby moving, for kind of opening things up, to encourage birth to move along a little bit faster. People also can use it to hang on to. There are tons of different resources that you can look into for how it can potentially help you during birth, but that's another great thing. And then also after birth. After birth, bouncing a baby, just being able to sit and bounce, that is something that newborns love. You can also use it for core strengthening exercises when a lot of times after birth, your core could use a lot of work. So there are so many different uses for a birth ball. I would just call it a regular ball. It's the same kind of thing that you have in yoga studios. You definitely want to get one of the bigger ones rather than the smaller ones, but there are so many different uses. So that would actually be one of my very top gift suggestions. Number three is a pregnancy pillow. During my first birth, I really wanted to go minimal with the kind of stuff that I bought. I didn't want to buy something that after pregnancy I would just toss away. A pregnancy pillow was something I delayed getting for a really long time and tried to use pillows and all that stuff. But I started to get this really awful pain in my hip and my back. And I said, you know what, screw it, let me try it. And it actually ended up improving things a lot. So it is really good for some people. It's great for aligning your hips. It can allow you to sort of tip on your back a little bit. So you're not always just sleeping on one side, which is often recommended, especially after your 19th or 20th week. The one thing that I will let you know is it does have a back, like that's part of the pillow. So if you really enjoy cuddle time, there is less of that can usually happen when you have the pillow. Another thing, if your pregger is having a lot of back pain, that you could get them is a bolster. The bolster is basically just a large pillow that has a lot of support. It's the same thing that's used in yoga classes, and it allows you to sit up in an upright supported position on the floor. So sitting directly on the floor can be pretty hard and pretty straining on your back, but when you're elevated, it does allow you to be a little bit more comfortable. And when you're sitting on a couch, that's actually putting yourself and your back in a really compromised position that's not really great for development. It's not great for your pelvic floor. So that's just another idea of something that you could get. And then lastly, as part of this category, I would include a foam roller. Foam rollers are really great for rolling out your legs, your hips, your glutes, and a lot of times when those things get tight, that is going to cause more back pain. So most of these tips are to relieve back pain. So if somebody is, experiencing this, all of these can help with that. Number 4 is warm and or comfortable maternity clothing. So leggings, I think, are one of the top useful, great things for preggers, especially during the winter months. They make fleece-lined leggings, which are super great, and you can sometimes put them below your jeans. So now you're having two layers. You can also just get, skinnier layers that you can wear underneath skirts, dresses, or again, jeans or other pants. Another great thing to think about is if you live in a colder climate, which I certainly do, getting a maternity winter coat. Maternity coats will have extra room in the front. You can usually adjust them to size. I'm just about 20 weeks and my coat is definitely starting to get very tight. So something that allows extra space in there can be really crucial if you live somewhere cold during the winter. And lastly in this category, something like warm slippers or Uggs or winter boots that have a lot more room. Circulation is even worse than usual when you're pregnant because your blood is thicker and it just takes a little bit more effort for that blood to get pumped throughout your body. So it's much easier to get colder faster. So keeping your feet warm can be really helpful and will help improve circulation, but also will help make your pregger a little bit happier. So I just actually recently splurged on some Uggs. I've never bought Uggs in my life, but also a lot of women's feet tend to swell up a little bit more when you're pregnant. So definitely getting something that has more room rather than, something tight. Even if it's warm and tight, that's going to cut off that circulation. Or just kind of try to get some warm slippers. Slippers are usually on the cheaper side, and most of them will be fleece lined and they can wear them around the house. So that can also be great. Number 5 is more of a self-care kit, all-encompassing thing. So scented candles, I think, are really great. Epsom salt, especially if you have other children, actual time to relax and maybe take a bath. Teas are really great, but you do want to make sure that the tea is safe for pregnancy. One of the best teas that you could possibly drink when you're pregnant is red raspberry leaf tea. That is the mother of all teas for pregnancy. It helps with labor. It helps with toning the uterus. I did create another video about that if you want to check it out, but just things that will allow the pregger to relax, enjoy themselves, and not have to stress because nobody wants to stress when they're pregnant. The other thing that I'll include in this category, and this is partially a know your pregger kind of gift, but something when it comes to stretch marks. So the two things that I think are the best for preventing stretch marks are collagen powder. So this is what I use, but collagen powder is really great as far as strengthening your hair, your skin, your nails, and something that I think is one of the best things to take while you're pregnant. Most people, to prevent stretch marks, will go to some kind of belly butter or body oil, and that's great too. The one thing that I will add if you're going to get a belly butter of sorts is that it's definitely not filled with a ton of chemicals, which a lot of them will be. So I personally like to stick to just natural oils. So coconut oil, or I actually bought cacao butter, which is basically hard as a rock, but you need to cut it up and heat it up, and then you'll smell like chocolate. So there are probably good and bad things about that. But almond oil is another really great base. Just watch out. Make sure you're not just putting a bunch of chemicals on your Pregger, because your skin will absorb all of those things. So make sure that it is naturally based. Number 6 is a prenatal massage. Now, I will say 2 things about a prenatal massage. Many people that give them, they're basically just giving you a rub down. Now, if your Pregger likes this, then great. You can probably go to anybody who has a prenatal massage certification or advertises that they do prenatal massage. However, personally, I am not just a fan of a rub down. When I get a massage, I want you to go deep. I want some muscles to be moving in there. And I do find that it tends to be pretty hard to find masseuses that will do that, especially who are prenatal. So this one does involve research if you actually want to get some sort of deep tissue prenatal massage. The best places that I will recommend of people that you talk to for recommendations for this, if you don't know anyone off the top of your head, are prenatal yoga teachers who work with pregnant people all the time. Or even better is a chiropractor who works with specifically pregnant people. Usually they can also give a really good recommendation, just specifically specify that you want to get somebody who has a lot more experience with deep tissue massage for pregnant people. Number 7 is a water bottle or a water filter. It's really important to stay hydrated throughout pregnancy. One thing that I will add is it is really important to drink good water. So if you're just getting your water from the tap or from a Brita filter, which is filtering out very little, I would definitely suggest getting a better water filter. The one that I personally recommend is a countertop water filter. It can filter out the chemicals as well as all of the other awful things that are in your water. It's called a Berkey water filter. Now, if you're confident that the water that you're drinking at home is fabulous and you don't need to do anything else, but your Pregger goes into work all the time and that water isn't great or is traveling a lot, the other thing that I could recommend is getting a water bottle that has a built-in filter. So one of the ones that I use primarily when I travel is called AquaPure. It's actually smaller than I would like, and this thing costs about $30. It's got a nice filter in it though. It was perfect for the airport and for traveling. This is actually the same water filter that Special Forces uses to, when they're traveling out on backpacking trips, they can fill up these water bottles and the filter filters out everything that's awful for you. So I do highly recommend getting something that has a really strong filter that can filter out a lot of the gross things that we tend to put in our drinking water. Number 8 is a doula or a birth photographer. Now these are definitely much more expensive than almost everything on here, but if you or your Pregger that you're shopping for is giving birth in a hospital but does want a more natural birth, I definitely recommend getting a doula. And a doula can cost a lot more money. So they usually run between $1,500 and $2,000, but they do help make sure that you're getting the birth that you want. I actually ended up getting a student doula for, I think we paid $500 because I wanted that person present. I was giving birth at a birth center. Just know that if you are going to get a student doula, they do have less experience. So it might be harder for them to fight for things that you want over somebody who has a lot more experience. The other thing is a birth photographer. Again, this is a know your Pregger kind of thing. Birth photography can be really great because you can get some amazing photos and have true documentation of the birth of your child. However, not a lot of people will want a random stranger photographer in the room. So if this is something that is important for the mother, then I would say definitely this could be a great gift option. But again, know your audience. Number 9 is books. The ones that I'm going to recommend are definitely more targeted towards natural-minded mamas because that's primarily what I talk about. So my favorite week by week book, and this depends on where your pregger is in her pregnancy, but the Mama Natural Week by Week Guide to Pregnancy and Childbirth is what I would recommend, at least if she's in her earlier part of pregnancy, because then you'll get the most out of it. Next, I recommend a book called The Continuum Concept by Jean Lidloff. However, this is definitely for super crunchy mamas. It is a little bit hard to take a lot of the advice and apply it to the real world if you live in Western civilization. Next, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth by Ina May Gaskin. Your Best Birth by Ricky Lake and Abby Epstein. And for anyone planning on breastfeeding, I definitely recommend having a book in their back pocket to use as a reference when you're having issues and just things to know about the process. So there are two in this category: The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding by Diane Wessinger, Diana West, and Teresa Pittman, or The Nursing Mother's Companion by Kathleen Huggins. And lastly, number 10 is a birth course. Now, there are tons of different options out there for birth courses, and I definitely recommend taking a more naturally minded one and one targeted towards natural birth if that's something that you are planning on doing, which if you're listening to this channel, hopefully you are. So hypnobirthing is a really popular one that gives you really great tips and also can put you in a pretty good headspace about birth doesn't have to be this really awful experience. It can be a great, relaxing experience. I know Mama Natural has a course you can take. I'm actually right now taking an orgasmic birth course, which is interesting, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'm actually going to be coming out with a course in hopefully about a month or so. It's not necessarily a birth course. It's more of a how to optimize your pregnancy and build the healthiest baby course. So you can always have that in your back pocket if you're earlier in your pregnancy. And lastly, and this is free, you can refer your favorite pregger to this YouTube channel and have them subscribe, PaleoPreggers. Now, if you have any other great ideas for gifts for preggers, please feel free to add them in the comments. Please like this video too if I've given you some great ideas that you might want to gift your favorite pregger. And if you want to get more quick tips about how to have a healthy pregnancy, please subscribe to my channel. And with that, I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks. Happy holidays. Bye.